It's a common misconception inside of the war game that you can't actually make neutral units attack. Let me go ahead and explain what I mean by that. So we're going to go ahead and go to data so that we can create some new units, and we're going to have some soldiers over here. Now we're going to have our own player 1 soldiers like so, and then we're going to set these top version of these units over here to type neutral. Once we set them to type neutral, we're going to go ahead and test, and we're going to see exactly what I'm talking about here. Oh, wait a second, I want these units to attack. Okay, they can't. My units can attack, but the enemy units are not attacking. They don't seem like they have any agency or any desire to attack, unless, in fact, even if I give them some kind of AI, that doesn't work because they are of type neutral. They're not player 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Therefore, they don't seem to have any way to go ahead and do these things. So it seems like, and people have just given up on the idea of making units that are neutral attack. But I'm here to tell you, you can have units attack. You just have to do a lot of shenaniganry to make sure that it looks like that. So what I'm going to do in this editor tutorial is explain how you can make units that are neutral attack. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to recognize that we're going to make a copy of the soldier because we are going to make some changes to it. So we're going to call this neutral soldier. Neutral soldier. Neutral soldiers, these neutral units have to be different units than the units that you are allowing the player to make normally, and you'll see why in a second. But the TLDR is that we're going to be giving these neutral soldiers, these new units that we're building, a special ability that is going to mimic the ability to attack. So in order to do that, we have to take down a list of a couple of things. So we're going to look at the weapon cooldown, 1.15, and we're going to look at the damage of 18. Okay, and what is the range? It's about melee range, so that's 0.2. We want to keep track of all of those. So if we gave an autocast ability to the neutral soldiers, the neutral soldier, that has a cooldown of 1.15 seconds that deals 18 damage at a range of 0.2, then we would mimic the ability of those units to attack. And in fact, because soldiers make a slashing animation whenever they are casting a spell, if we do it correctly, we should be able to time it in such a way that it looks like they're going ahead and casting an ability. They're attacking, when really what they're doing is they're casting an ability. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to abilities, and we're going to copy off of heal. If we just press H, we can go further down the list. We're going to copy off of this, and it's going to be neutral. And this is going to be neutral soldier attack. And again, we're just going to call this neutral and soldier attack. Excellent. So we're going to create this. We're going to go all the way to the bottom, and then, of course, as we normally do, we're going to add a period in front of it. That way, it's going to go ahead and activate. There's a couple of things that we have to do, however. We're going to keep it as target as unit, that's fine, but we're going to make some normal changes that we always make whenever we're adjusting the heal spell. So we're going to get rid of the description. We're just going to say, mimics, mimics the attack ability. It is going to have a requirement to a target is biological, that is certainly fine. And then we're going to go ahead and make sure that it has no launch down, because we don't want it to make a healing launch down. It's not going to cost mana, because these neutral soldiers don't have any mana. And it's not going to deal negative damage, but it is going to deal positive 18 damage. Very important that it mimics the amount of damage the soldier itself is doing, so that our neutral soldier does what seems to be the same amount of damage. Now we have to go ahead and we have to check a couple of things. We don't want maximum armor range while casting. We only want it to hit, in fact, the enemy. Yes. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to say autocast has autocast by default, and what we're going to make it do is as follows. It's going to autocast when this.owner is not equal to owner. We might even just change it the other way around, actually. We're going to make it owner is not equal to this.owner. So it's going to cast this ability on enemy units whenever it's the owner of the opposing unit is not the same as this.owner. Since neutral units are neutral, they will attack automatically. The projectile speed is just fine. The duration is actually important. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to cast at a distance of 0.2. That's because range attacks, the range of a melee attack is 0.2 distance. Therefore, giving this spell a range of 0.2 will encourage our units that are not passive to go ahead and autocast this ability whenever they have the ability to find a unit in range to do it to. The cooldown, the time the unit can't do anything else after casting this ability. So we're not going to make that, we're going to set that to 0, but cooldown 2. Time it takes for this unit to be able to do this order again after it did it. This is where knowing the weapon cooldown is very important. We're going to go ahead and set this to 1.15 seconds. Most excellent. And then I think we're going to make it cross flame death, just because I really like the way that feels. And we're going to be satisfied with that unit. We're going to go over the way to neutral, and we're going to add the ability of neutral soldier attack over here to neutral soldier. Now, because this is a new mod, there's a couple of things that we have to go ahead and change, because we wouldn't want to, accidentally do all of this and then find out that things don't work the way that we want them to. So we're first going to call this neutral. We're going to call this neutral soldier tutorial. Unlock to learn how to make neutral units attack. Of course, we're going to make a couple of changes, as we always do. Player 2 is going to be We don't even need a player 2, to be honest with you, because all we're doing is we're using player 1 and we're attacking neutral units. We want the neutral units to appear as if they're attacking us, so we're going to go ahead and set that to player 1. And we might actually need a computer of type of player 2, but we're going to go ahead and make some buildings over here. So here we go. Here's a house, and here's a house. We're going to go ahead and set this house to belong to player 2. That's perfectly fine, even though player 2 doesn't have any units. That's fine. They're not the purpose of this tutorial. And we're going to go ahead and check settings again. Does everything look good? Yes, it seems to. So we're going to go ahead and upload. The map name isn't valid, probably because it's too long. So it's going to be neutral Attack Tut. And we're going to see if that name is too long. Uploading. And upload complete. Okay, so now that the upload is complete, we're going to go ahead and attack, and we're going to see what's going on here. So it looks like all of these units are attacking, and what they're doing is they're trying to get in range of 0.2 so they can cast the ability that they have access to. We can't click on them, but if we look at our own abilities for a neutral soldier, you would see that they have the W ability. So what we actually have to do now is we have to go over here to units, and then we have to go to a neutral soldier, and we have to change its neutral soldier attack ability under abilities. We gave the range of 0.2, but we actually don't want it to be 0.2. It seems like it has to be a little bit longer. So what we're going to do is instead, we're going to make its range a little bit larger so that I can actually find the target that it is supposed to attack hit. We're going to look over here for range. Okay, the range is 0.2, but we don't want it to be 0.2. What if we just make it a little bit longer? How about 0.5? Okay. And if that doesn't work, we're going to start setting it to 2 or more ridiculous things like that. Okay, so we go over here, and what do we see? The ability doesn't seem to be cast. Interesting. So that suggests that there's something that we still have to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of all of the neutral soldiers over here. We're going to get rid of our current soldiers over here. We're going to make some neutral soldiers that belong to player 1. We're going to go ahead and hit test and look over at this ability. Okay, it has the W ability. It auto-casts the ability. It mimics the attack ability. Interesting. Okay, so it actually seems like it wants to hit that unit. Interesting. The problem is that it's getting close, but it's not actually doing the attack. Interesting. So here's what we're going to do next. We're going to go over to data, and we're going to go ahead and say, okay, well, it has autocast. Does it have autocast by default? Because that's incredibly important. We're going to go to the ability, we scroll all the way down, and what do we see? Has autocast by default, hits enemy. And we go and we check, and it is target is unit, okay. Is this the correct autocast ability for it? This is you can, for instance, this dot owner is not equal. This dot owner is equal to owner will only hit. Okay, so we're going to change this backwards a little bit. We're going to do this dot owner not equal to owner. We're going to go ahead and go to modifiers. We're going to check, and then we're going to set a generic soldier over here. We're going to see if our units autocast use their ability the way that we intend them to. It does not seem like they want to. They keep wanting to move to a spot over here. Okay. Interesting. It seems like they can't actually get in range to go ahead and use the effect. And there's another thing that we're going to do here as well, which is we're going to get rid of the attack ability. We're going to get rid of the attack ability of the neutral soldier, because we don't want it to actually A-move, and we don't want it to actually attack. We just want it to use the neutral soldier attack. So we're going to hit test again, and we're going to see what happens. Okay, still, the units seem to be getting close. They seem to be doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, and it looks like it's drawing close to the enemy unit, and what does it do once it's close to the enemy unit? Well, it's not ever actually casting the ability, so we're going to go ahead and see why that is. And it may be because, once again, the range is not sufficiently large. So we're going to go to the ability over here for neutral soldier attack, scroll all the way down, and what is the casting delay? Well, we don't want any casting delay, we want it to happen as soon as possible. And then projectile speed, speed at which the projectile travels. Do we actually want it to be a projectile speed? Well, it currently has a projectile speed of 0 and a duration of 0, so it hits immediately. So what are the problems? Well, we're going to go over here up to units. We're going to make sure that the neutral soldier is of type biological. It certainly is. Is the soldier of type biological? It certainly is. That's one of the things that you want to check, because if you make sure that all of your units have the autocast requirements that they're supposed to have, then you can actually make things happen. So we're going to change the range to something a little bit larger. We're going to say range of 2. That seems a little bit ridiculous, but we're going to skip a purchase. And it looks like actually the range of 2 is more than sufficient. Notice what we have here. I'm not controlling any of the units, and they are automatically going ahead and doing the slashing animation, which is an indication that they are attacking the unit in question. Now we just have to lower the range so that they get inside of the radius of the specific unit that they're trying to use the ability on, without getting so close that it's actually difficult for them to figure out what's going on and what end of their tail is up or down. So, okay, we're going to set the range to 1. When we set the range to 1, look at this. Look at what we have now. Range of 1. Look at that. It's casting the healing ability, it's casting the healing visual animation rather, but it looks like these units are attacking. Looks like they're actually doing damage. And here's what's cool about this. First, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to abilities, and we're going to go to neutral soldier attack, and we're going to get rid of a combination of things. We're going to make it a default cursor, and we're going to get rid of the image of heal. And we also aren't going to make it an attack effect of heal. We're just going to make an attack effect of, I think, none. Excellent. I don't even want a spell effect, actually. So we're just going to go ahead and hit test and see how this looks. Oh, look at this. It almost looks like we're just actually attacking. The units are attacking at about the same speed every time. Okay, this soldier is attacking at a rate of 1.15 seconds, and these abilities are being activated on the part of the neutral soldiers every 1.15 seconds. Most excellent. They are auto-casting the ability. That is fantastic. Okay, so what can we do with that? Well, we don't only have to make an auto-casting soldier unit. In fact, we're going to make the enemy unit that we're fighting a little bit sturdier so that we can see what exactly we're dealing with here. Okay, here we go. Here's a soldier. Here's a werewolf, rather. And we're going to make this a... We're going to make this a... Well, we're going to change it, actually. Never mind. We'll keep this over as Unit 2. I know this is a tutorial about how to make neutral units attack, but I will promise that at the end we will reverse everything. We'll make all of the soldiers that we are testing right now as player 1 neutral, and we'll make the archer, which I want to make second, neutral as well. So we're going to go ahead and go to units, and we're going to make a new unit type, and the new unit type is going to be unit archer, because let's say we want archers to attack. Archers have range. How does that work? That's a little bit more interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this neutral archer. And of course, once again, we're going to go ahead and call this neutral archer, and we're going to press the create button. Once we go into the create button, once again, we're going to go all the way down to the bottom, hit a period so that it floats up to the top, and press the unit tab so that it refreshes. Now, we're going to go down over here. We're going to get rid of the attack and the A move commands. So we get rid of attack, and we get rid of A move, and we have to go to abilities. We're going to copy a neutral soldier attack because it's perilously close to what we want our neutral, you guess what we're going to call it, archer attack. We want neutral archer attack to fulfill many of the same criteria. But there's a couple of things that we have to know about the base archer before we understand how this new proxy archer is going to work. First, we have to go ahead and take a look at, okay, what is your projectile speed? Because this is going to be a distance weapon. So we're going to check some of the things we already checked, and then we're going to check some new things as well. So weapon cooldown is 1.4, and the damage is 12. So we're going to go to abilities. We're going to go to the abilities. We're going to go to neutral archer attack. We're going to put a period in front of it, and we're going to make it damage is going to be 12, and the delay is going to be not 1.15, but instead it's going to be 1.4. Remember that we have projectile speed on this ability, so we have to go ahead and give it a projectile speed of 12. Additionally, since we're casting an ability now, we actually want it to display. So instead of having attack effect spell, attack effect none, we're going to go ahead and make the attack effect arrow, attack effect arrow. Excellent. And we're going to go all the way up to here, and we're going to get rid of neutral soldier attack spell, because I personally am not a big fan of it. We're going to go over here, we're going to upload, and then we're going to load up some of these neutral archers in the background, and we will see if they attack the way that they're supposed to. So neutral archer. We're going to close out of this. Most excellent. We're going to change all of these to player 1, as they should be, player 2, and then player 1. This werewolf is player. And now, hands are off the keyboard, and we're going to see what these units do. Well, it looks like they actually are not going to attack. The reason they're not going to attack is, of course, we have not given them the ability in question. So if we go over to neutral soldier, for instance, it has this neutral soldier attack. But if we go to neutral archer, we have never given it the neutral archer attack. So we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, give it the neutral archer attack. We're not going to close out of it this time, thankfully. And after we hit the add, we're going to go ahead and do this once more after, of course, uploading to test everything. And let's see what happens. Upload complete, and we're going to test. Notice what we have here. Okay, so it looks like they can't actually hit the werewolf because the werewolf is frankly too physically bulky. It's a bit too big. So we're going to try something a little bit different. Instead of that, we could change around the range slightly of all of these abilities and all of these units and make all of that happen. But instead, we have a couple of things we want to change first. First, we have to go into data and abilities because the archer was trying to get in close and use this ability at melee range, which means we didn't set an appropriate range for it. And if we look, its range is 1 here, whereas the normal archer's range is, in fact, I believe it's 6. And here it is. The range is actually 5. So we're going to go to abilities, a neutral archer attack, and we're going to set its range from 1, which is a pitiful bit of range. It's kind of laughable, actually. We're going to set its range over to 5. And I predict, actually, that we're going to put a new soldier here. We're going to violate convention a little bit by changing about the default value of this soldier. You know what? No, we're not. No, we're not. We're never going to break resubs. We're never going to break design patterns. It's never going to happen. We're going to go to units, new. We're going to make a new soldier, and we're just going to call it body bag. Body bag soldier. Yep. Wow, that's morbid. We're not going to call it that. We're just going to call it punching bag. There we go. We're going to call it punching bag. So we're going to go to punching bag, and we're going to go ahead and hit period in the front over here, and we're not going to change any of its other things. We're just going to multiply its HP by 10 so that we have something that we can hit for a very, 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 very long time. So there we go. We have the punching bag, and now we're going to have all these units do this damage. Now look what we've got over here. These soldiers are attacking in what appear to be melee range, and these archers are actually firing. Note that the archers are not, in fact, using attack. We removed the attack and attack move commands from them, as you can see by the fact that they have stop and they have hold position. But what we are doing, that's very, 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 very important, is that we are giving them an autocast ability that mimics the similarity in being able to go ahead and do the attack. And in fact, the arrow animation, the arrow spell effect and arrow animation is the only thing that makes that happen. So right now, we have units, but this isn't really what you signed up for, right? These aren't neutral units. What is this? We didn't ask for this. And so we're going to go ahead and give you exactly what you want. We're going to go remove this, and we're going to take all of these units. We're going to put them over here, and we're going to make them neutral, because then that'll be the real test as to whether or not these neutral units attack in a neutral unit type way. So over here, we're going to note these are now neutral units. You can notice by the coloring. You can notice that by when I select them, they have this yellow grouping around them, where they have blue for the red and blue houses over here on the left and right side respectively, or rather from left. Red and blue for the left and right side respectively. But when we select these, they have a yellow pattern on them. If we were to change them to player 1, not only do they change red, but it is a blue selection bar. But in neutral, it is yellow. So these are definitively neutral units. They are not controlled by any player. They're not controlled by player 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And this is very important because this frees up a slot for you to go ahead and have very interesting and involved units that nevertheless don't have any of the difficulties of loading up a computer slot towards them. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to give player 1 a couple of units to fight with. These are just normal archers. They do absolutely nothing new, nothing exciting. And here we go. Archers. Okay, so the archers by default don't want to attack passive units. That is something that that just is the case. But we can attack them. And look, these neutral units are trying to attack us. Isn't that interesting? And we're going to get rid of the archers, of course, because they're way too threatening. Yep. And after we get rid of them, notice, like, the archer has a small spell effect, and this soldier has a small spell effect. It is doing its absolute best to make sure that it can go ahead and damage us, but we can now kite and fight these neutral enemy units. Excellent. So, that is the purpose of this video. There's going to be a bonus round right now, where I'm going to see if I can't make it so that these units, when they are neutral, can still be attacked nevertheless. So we're going to go ahead to neutral, and we're going to see we're going to look to see if there is passive can attack neutral or something of that nature that we can go ahead and interact with. And by all accounts, seemingly, it does not seem that that's something we can do right now. So the one downside of doing this and having neutral units as follows is that once they attack the player has to manually go and fight each one of them. That may be a difficulty that you don't want to voice on your players. But if it is a difficulty you want to voice on your players, then I have some fantastic news. You now have the ability to make neutral units actually seem like they're attacking. Remember, all you have to do is take into consideration the following. And we're going to go, if they're a melee unit like the neutral soldier, then you have to make a neutral soldier attack, copy off of heal. That's going to go ahead and do the same damage that their normal attack would do on a cooldown 2. Yes, on a cooldown 2, that is their attack delay, and with autocasted conditions that indicate this dot owner is not equal to this owner. This dot owner is not equal to owner. Then we're going to go over here, and I'm gonna replace that. I swear I'm going to. And then we're going to go ahead and go over to the archer. Remember, if you have a ranged ability, you want to give it an attack effect and an attack effect in it and an attack effect, because otherwise the player doesn't know what they're getting hit by or what's actually doing the damage to them. Additionally, you want to make sure that their damage is the same and range is improved as well. But the thing that you have to do for these that you didn't have to do for the other ones is make sure that they in fact have a projectile speed. If they don't have a projectile speed, It says the tooltip here, the speed at which the projectile travels. Put multiple levels if you want to create a multiple level ability. If you don't do that and you don't have a duration, then the unit's damage will never actually hit the player. And that's not something that you want to go ahead and do. So with that, we're going to go ahead and upload this, and then I'm going to test this one more time. And during the process of testing it and everything being wonderful, then we're going to end the video, because now you will know exactly how to make neutral units look as if they're attacking, and they will be attacking, but they won't need a computer to control them.